Okay, we are live. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. We have a very big show tonight. Of course, lots to get into. Old Trafford's latest development plans are being announced very, very soon. We're seeing little bits of information on what INEOS are likely to do. We also have Dan Ashworth latest on Manchester United's potential new director of football. We have Sir Jim Ratcliffe making big moves in terms of bringing in other members to fill out the executive of this football club. We have some of the latest transfer news as well coming in very, very soon. Some very interesting news regarding Michael Olise. That is one we will be talking about tonight as well, and much, much more to get into. So, guys, let's start off at the top of the show and let's get started on the very latest with Old Trafford, something that does affect each and every one of us fans. Match going or not, Old Trafford is an intrinsic part of this football club, and it has been for the last 114 years. So, Sir Jim Ratcliffe has a hell of a job on his hands with Old Trafford. As we know, the place has fallen into disrepair. It's falling down practically. There's holes in the roof. It's just not up to scratch. It's been left to rot for the last 20 years. We haven't maintained the grand old stadium that once was there. But we do have some news coming through on the Daily Mail side from Mike Keegan tonight on Old Trafford and the latest in terms of that development. And we're going to bring that to you right now as well. So, in terms of the actual plan, rebuilding on the neighbouring land has now become the favourable option for a 5-year redevelopment of Old Trafford itself. Sir Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS have already approached potential investment partners at home and abroad as they will seek to rapidly rebuild or refurbish Old Trafford. Regardless of which course of action is taken, fans will be heavily consulted in regards to the stadium plan. So that's good to know. Fans will have a voice. We will be able to find out what is happening with the stadium as the process goes along, and that for me is a big positive. Now, I think we've got a really interesting dilemma here because the options on the table, we are flat out not moving from Old Trafford. So it's either a brand new stadium on site or it's going to be a complete refurbishment of Old Trafford. And I think those were always the two more popular and the two more preferred options. We don't want to leave where we've played football for the last 114 years. We don't want to leave that area. So it's either going to be more redevelopment, or it's going to be buying up some of the neighbouring land, which United already own a large proportion of anyway, and then building a new stadium there. So both of those, I think, are pretty good options. Let me know your thoughts on that one down below. Big up Suleiman, Big T, and Stephanie in the comments. It's good to see everyone in, as always. And yeah, look, it's a very, very packed show tonight. Got a lot I want to cover on tonight's show as well. So that's the latest with Old Trafford. We will bring you guys more as it comes along. But let's move on to some exciting game-changing alterations at this football club. And one of those, as we know, in the last couple of days has been Dan Ashworth. So he's currently director of football of Newcastle United. It looks very likely he's going to become our director of football, and it's just about how do we get there? How do we get to that point in regards to his contractual obligation for gardening leave up to 12 months? Obviously, the way to get around that is going to be with money. It's going to be to pay Newcastle United and reach a compensation fee. Now, whenever they managed to get Dan Ashworth out of Brighton and Hove Albion, they played around about £4 million, and he wasn't allowed to start work for 4 months. That was the agreement that was made. So I can only see it being something similar. But look, make no mistake about it. We are absolutely not going to be waiting the 12 months that is being touted at the moment. It's probably a negotiation thing. We see United saying that we're going to be waiting and we're prepared to wait. That's just what we have to do, and I think that's what's always going to be. But we will get an agreement there. This is the guy we want. We will end up getting him. The agreement is expected to be reached by early next week, according to the Mail Sport and Fabrizio Romano and David Ornstein. So it's going to be something that's going to develop probably Monday or Tuesday. I think we always knew this was coming, but make no mistake about it, in the last couple of days from INEOS, since this Premier League ratification has come through, the changes to this club have been thick, they have been quick, they have been fast, and there's been a lot of them, and they're sweeping changes, and that's only going to continue. And this is genuinely going to be a really interesting time for this period. Now, I watched United Puppeteers before I came onto the show tonight, and they had a really interesting point. From the top to the bottom, INEOS' plan is there are good people at Old Trafford. There are good people in the club. There are people maybe who aren't good enough at their jobs. There's people who are pretty good at their jobs. But if someone can be brought in who's better, then they will be brought in. And that's just a business decision. That is what we're doing top to bottom. So we are going best in class in every single area and in every single venue. So that's going to be really, really interesting. Dan Ashworth, of course, going to be absolutely key in that. Interestingly, in the last couple of moments, we do have an update coming in regarding Omar Barada, who is our new CEO. And he has listed all of the potential changes and adjustments he thinks Manchester United need to make, and he's presented that list to Sir Dave Brailsford and to Sir Jim Ratcliffe. So from top to bottom, things are really, really heating up at Old Trafford and at Manchester United. And Wilcox is the brand new one as well today. That was an exclusive drop by David Ornstein this afternoon. So for anyone unaware of his work, he was director of City's Academy, and now he's director of football at Southampton. So what he's going to be, I guess, it's kind of up in the air right now. We're not quite too sure on the specifics. Will he be the head of recruitment that we seem to really want? Will he be working directly underneath Dan Ashworth? Will he be the overall director of the academy system at Manchester United? What's his position going to be? Haven't quite managed to get the details on that one yet, but I'm positive that they will come. But this is, make no mistake about it, this is an exciting time, guys. It really, really is. I've comments coming in from Rajat. Big T, Jim doing more impressive things. Let's hope it continues. Fans have had nothing to be excited about for a long time. Eric Briggs says a new stadium would be best for the new start we have now. Redeveloping Old Trafford won't cut it right now. It might be too far beyond that point, but it's definitely an interesting one. Look, I have a sense of relief that we're not leaving Old Trafford itself, and that for me is good. I think whenever we talk about the history of the club and the history of the ground, absolutely so important to what we've done as a club over the last 115, 116 years or so. Really, really important since we moved into Old Trafford. But it's not the same stadium that existed then. It's not the same stadium that was there in the 60s or the 70s or the 80s. There has been stands knocked down, rebuilt. Everything has changed in the stadium. I think if we end up in the same place with a brand new stadium, it will still be Old Trafford in the sense of what it is. It's one of those, if you want to go all philosophical on it, it's called the ship of thesis. It's basically if you replace every single part, but you do it one piece at a time, and it's still called the same thing. Is it the same ship? Is it still the same stadium? And that's basically where we are with Old Trafford. And I think Old Trafford, as much as it is a physical location, it is a collective term, and it's something that we give meaning to, and that is the football stadium itself. It's the same Old Trafford that was there in 1910, even though everything's changed. And it's one of those interesting philosophical things. And we are the United philosophy. We're always going to go into it. Big ups to everyone down in the comments. Rajat, hello to you. Kylian Mbappe going to Madrid, 100% confirmed. No, it's a Man United channel. Yeah, I seen that about Mbappe. Look, he's leaving PSG, confirmed. I don't think we're going to go in for him. I would be very surprised if we go in for him. Let's just put it that way. But I mean, it could be fun. It could be fun. I think it's more likely that maybe you see PSG go back in for Marcus Rashford. There was that pre-existing interest from PSG. Is that something that's going to carry on? Let's find out in the coming months. It's going to be an interesting one for sure. An interesting journey we're going on as a football club. But I think for the first time in a very, very, very long time, we can safely say that things seem to be going in the right direction. We're making the calls now, the changes now, the adjustments, and revolutionizing what this football club should be. You're seeing all these changes coming in, and I think it's just verification to the average fan as to what we already knew, even if you're not a Man United fan. I think it's shining more of a light on the fact that this club has been mismanaged for so long. We've been run like we're a National League team for the last 20 years. Like, genuinely, we couldn't have been run any worse. And that's why we are making so many big calls at the minute and so many changes so quickly, because they are necessary. And it is essential that we do that for the safe running of this football club into the future. Jeremy's down there. United are like a sleeping bear waking up from a decade-long hibernation. Absolutely. It does feel like that. I feel positive for the first time in a very long time, and this is a different kind of positivity than even what we might have had last season when we had good results on the pitch. This is long-lasting, sustainable, positivity that isn't going to be directly linked onto the form of football players. At least we know, regardless, we're heading in the right direction right now. And that's very good. And I think the kind of reaction we've seen from those within industry, the top CEOs and directors of football, everybody seems really excited to come and join Manchester United. We still have that pull. This is still the biggest club in England. This is still one of the biggest clubs in world football, regardless of how bad the last 15 years have been, regardless of how much we have struggled and how badly we have been run. We're always going to be this club. We are always going to be this big. We are always going to be this force. And if we're going in the right direction, then I think we're going to be back to where we need to be. We'll be a serious club. I'm not going to say we're back winning league titles, but I think we're at least going to be a serious club again. And that's a lot more than what we've had in the last 10 years or so. Le Man is on there. The difference in Glazer and Ratcliffe's way of work is that the people who they hired let him down. Ratcliffe is somehow getting people who won't let him down. Yeah, I think that's a big one. There was an interesting interview done with Jose Mourinho who shed some light on the inner workings of Manchester United. And something he said was there was a lot of polite people, a lot of friendly people, and a lot of people who had good intentions who he worked with on a day-to-day basis, but they didn't know football. They didn't know what they were doing. They wanted to do well, but they didn't know how to, and they never made those changes that were necessary to do that. And I think that's very plausible. I think that, yes, you'll always have people looking out for their own interests at this club. You always have had that. But I do think you'll genuinely had a lot of good-meaning people or people who meant to do good who ended up doing more harm than good because they didn't know what they were doing in the first place and they didn't have the responsibility really to say, look, I'm not a football person. I don't know what this is. I'm going to give this to somebody else. People did just want to try spend their way back to the top and it never worked out. Eric's build says the difference is that we've gone to that place. It's not the same since the class of 92 played there. We need to get with the times and get a world-class stadium. No, I agree with that as well. It comes down to like Old Trafford isn't just a physical place. Old Trafford is it's something we give meaning to. It's a part of this football club. It's something that you cannot rewrite. And I think it comes down to that like philosophy thing I was mentioning earlier. So basically the premise of that was you had a man who had a ship, and basically over the course of many years, different parts of the ship needed to be replaced. And eventually it got to a point where none of the original ship actually existed anymore. But it was still the same ship because it still belonged to the same man. It was still called the same thing. It's a subjective meaning. It's something that it's meaning that you give to a physical place. Because like I said, Old Trafford was first built in 1910. That's when it opened. There would not be a single blade of grass, a single bolt, a single seat, a single stand, a single piece of concrete that has existed from the 1910 build. But we still call it Old Trafford. It's still Old Trafford, regardless of how many alterations have been done, how many redevelopments. And that's something that's really important. So I think by staying in the same place, you're still going to get the same meaning. And I think it's nothing but a good thing. It just depends what we do now. So either renovate or rebuild. Those are the options. Those are on the table. And it does look like it's going to be rebuilt. It looks like it's going to be a new stadium. But it's still going to be Old Trafford. So I think that's key. That's what I think is key. It's the same way that we have a Wembley Stadium now, even though the old one was knocked down. It's still Wembley Stadium. I think that's kind of the model we're going for here. Let me see what we got down below. Big T says it seems if Jim wants it, he gets it. Look, these are serious people. Make no mistake about it. These are very, very serious people, and they're coming with a ruthless edge, and they're genuinely going to make a lot of big calls. I think this is only the beginning, which is the exciting part. They've only been ratified this week. The takeover bid was only done on I think Boxing Day or Christmas Eve. This is only a couple of months actual work. The way we are going about things with these signings of executives, with these overhauls, with this approach to Old Trafford, it's very exciting. And I can only see us taking the same approach in the next coming months with the transfer window. I think we're going to get everybody in place within the next month. I think then it's going to be about securing deals from March until May, June. Then it's going to be about doing the deals. And there's a lot of them who we can reliably say we're going after. One of those players is Michael Olise, one who we definitely are looking at. Fabrizio Romano says that United wants him. The player would like the move. He's been approved by the INEOS members. It's just going to be up to Dan Ashworth when he starts his job eventually, if he wants Michael Olise, if he approves of that. The approval is basically there for Olise. There is massive interest within Manchester United for Jared Brantwaite of Everton. That is another player who it looks very likely could be coming to Old Trafford in this summer. And those are two signings we really need. I think when I was watching back at what Muppeteers were saying, it does make sense what they're talking about. They're saying we're looking at 2 centre-backs, 2 midfielders, and at least 1 forward. I would assume Olise is going to be the forward, Brantwaite one of the centre-backs. You probably look at Tadebo, or you look at Lenny Yoro for the other one. Midfield, you'll probably get a 6 and maybe another attacking midfielder or a box-to-box type midfielder. That's exciting as well. So a lot of exciting news coming forward. I'm looking forward to it. Let me see, what have I got? Le Mans Ratcliffe has the advantage. His British, non-British Glazers or Sheikh Yassin would never give the same support and cooperation. I think it's just because he's got some very good people in there as well, and from what I've seen from a lot of these different reports were coming out regarding the top executives and directors of football and CEOs, they all seem very, very excited by the prospect of working with Sir Dave Brailsford. Now, Brailsford, as we know, he's not a football guy. He made his name initially at Team Sky Cycling. He is well known within the sporting industry of preaching a message of marginal gains and about getting the very top levels of performance across the board. A lot of people seem to be very, very happy to work with him. I think this comes from the top down. It starts off with Barada. That is a massive signing. To go and take a key man out of Man City, to take him in, make him your CEO, is a big call. And he has already provided a list of things that need to be changed to Jim Ratcliffe and Sir Dave Brailsford. So that's very positive to me. Dan Ashworth clearly wants to come. We clearly want him. I can only see us getting the agreement there. I can't see Wilcox being too much of an issue to get out of Southampton. I think that will be done pretty soon. It comes down to what we want as recruitment. Paul Mitchell has ruled himself out of that, seemingly because of a difference in preference over job role. He might have wanted director of football job, not just head of recruitment. And now it looks like we're probably going to go elsewhere. But we do seem to be getting top people in who have worked in English football, and that does seem to be a common theme. So if you're looking at recruitment specialists, look no further than someone already within the English footballing pyramid. Maybe Dougie Friedman from Crystal Palace could be one of those people. I'm not too sure. What have I got? Rajat goes, I'm tired and bored. Want to see us to get top 4. Yeah, I'm tired of trying to scrape to finish top 4 as well, but I think it's a situation we find ourselves in short term. Long term, we've got to start looking at league titles again, and I think that's where we're getting from. Jazz words down there, not footballing people. Big T is down there as well. Rajat wants Pedro Neto. I like Neto. I think between Neto or Olise, you've got 2 really good options for the right wing. I think that Olise probably is better suited to what we need. I think he gives us a different profile. But I wouldn't complain with Neto. The only issue we have with both is injuries. I'm more worried about Pedro Neto's injuries than I am Olise's. And the reason I say that is because Olise's injuries have come as a constant reoccurrence of the same injury, because he has been rushed back because Crystal Palace need him on the pitch. Rajako, Madrid will get Euro. We won't. I think we'll be going in for him. I could see PSG going up against us. I could see Real Madrid going up against us. But I think we're probably the most credible source of football at the top level he could get out of PSG, and especially Real Madrid. But they've got a lot of issues as centre back with availability. But does he play when Rudiger, Alaba, Militao are all available? I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure. But look, it's very, very exciting, guys. This Dan Ashworth story is growing on the daily, and it's getting really, really interesting. Chelsea have made an approach to Brighton for their head of recruitment, Sam Jewell, but Dan Ashworth would like to take him to Manchester United, and that will hold some sway, said the BBC. So it's like I said, Dan Ashworth, for anyone who is unaware, he will put himself at the very centre of our footballing operations. From him, you'll have various heads. You'll have the head of recruitment, head of the academy, head of the women's team, head of psychology, head of medical, a lot of different heads of the department. They will all report into Dan Ashworth. He will report into CEO Omar Barada and work alongside him. And then, of course, you will have Blanc and Brills for the top of that. So you have a nice little pyramid forming up with the top guys from INEOS on the very, very top of that. You got some really qualified people filling in the middle part, and that's very exciting times for Manchester United across the board. Look, guys, get voting on that poll as well. Let me know your thoughts on the Old Trafford. Are you rebuild or are you renovate? Let me know down below. Big T said Jim's motivation is legacy. He wants to put us back in, to put United back into Manchester. And Lemon says at age 75, would Ratcliffe still have greed for money or love, happiness, and blessings of people? I think he's taking a look of it that he's what, like 71 now. I think he's just taking a look that this is legacy moves that he's going for at this point. I think there was a quote came out from INEOS at one point when we were looking towards the end of the takeover saying, look, Jim knows that he's 70, 71 years old now, and this isn't a long-term investment. He's not going to be holding on to this for the next 20 years and hoping to make a profit on it. This is about legacy. This is about what he wants to do for this football club. So I don't know. I don't know. Unless we get to directly ask Jim Ratcliffe, that I guess we'll never find out. Razak goes, why do we want two directors of football? Won't it get confusing? I think you can make the argument for too many cooks in the kitchen. You can make that, but I think we're also so starved of genuine ability or experience or expertise that we might need all these people. We don't know what Wilcox's job is going to be. We are waiting for any kind of clarification from David Ornstein on that. So it could be head of academy like he was at Manchester City, but we've already got Nick Cox for that. It could be deputy director of football, which I think we wanted to appoint at one point, but I'm not sure if we ever did. So I'm not too sure what his job role is going to be. He could come in initially with a lot of say and a lot of power because he would have an immediate start at Manchester United, whereas Ashworth is going to have to do this gardening leave. So you could see him as like an interim director of football for the next couple of months, working alongside Ashworth, taking advice from him on what to do with these situations before stepping down and taking up a different role. I'm not too sure. He could take Darren Fletcher's job as technical director. A lot of changes are on the cards, guys. It is exciting for sure. That's what I will say. Rajat says Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS are rolling out quick. They really are. I think the speed of this is impressing me. I'm very happy to see that kind of speed in these decision makings. I knew a lot of changes were coming. I didn't expect them to come this soon and this with so many sweeping changes, but I can't complain. And if this is genuinely how we are working as a football club, it's a lot more serious now. It's a lot more important and it's a lot better run already. And if this is how we're going to approach transfers, then that's very exciting because David Ornstein hadn't dropped any clues about Wilcox today. There was no real indication about Omar Barada before he joined. The Dan Ashworth one seems to be heavily pushed out there. I'm assuming because Newcastle will be putting their own slant on the story as well. They'll want to cover themselves. So this is a very, very different Manchester United already. And I think that's exciting. And I think that is something we're going to see progress across the next couple of months, the next couple of years. There's a lot of exciting things to come. Look, as I've discussed, guys, we have clarification on the stadium. We will not be leaving the Old Trafford area. It will either be a rebuild or a renovation job. We will have Dan Ashworth agreed by early next week. Wilcox will be next to come in through the door. Will he be head of recruitment? Will he be head of academy? We're not too sure. We have some clarification coming in on those transfer talks as well. Olise has been approved by INEOS and by the club, and he would prefer to join us over the next most likely suitors, which are Chelsea. So that's very positive for that one. Jared Brandwood is very, very heavily linked at the moment as well and very much liked within Manchester United. And we got a little bit of clarification on some summer transfer targets: 2 centre backs, 2 midfielders, and a forward. And potentially sales could bring us in a second number 9 as well. So that's all very exciting. I think a lot of changes are coming very soon as well. I think one thing I would like to quickly draw attention to would be what INEOS are planning to do with some of the existing personnel. Now, as we know, they're making a lot of calls across the board, and this is on all levels, non-playing as well, scouts, physios, psychologists, what everything is under scrutiny at the minute. But players will be too. And from what they were saying on Muppeteers earlier today, so they were saying that very few players are guaranteed safe. You're probably looking at Rasmus Højlund, Kobe Manu, Garnacho, players like that as being pretty much safe. But even players as important as Bruno Fernandes might not be from safe from being moved on. And that for me is an interesting one as well. I did think this would come, and I think when you look at a lot of the players with their deals running out, I'm not too sure how many are going to be extended. Varane's questionable at that kind of money. Martial is going to go. Lindelof, I assume, is going to go. Johnny Evans probably letting go. That's 3 centre backs. Harry Maguire could still go as well. Then you're looking at 3 or 4 centre backs going. You're looking at one of your only strikers going. A lot of calls are being made across this summer. It's going to be a really interesting time to be on here as well. So, guys, make sure you're hitting that sub button to stay tuned. Well in advance, anyway. Liman is saying Big T has Radcliffe's WhatsApp. I mean, that could be nice if he does. I would like some sources. Liman, are we willing to talk? Sorry, why are we no more talking about the Glazers? It's a smart move by them. I think it is a smart move. The reason I say it's a smart move is because as football fans, we are primarily focused on one thing, and that is the football on the pitch. By giving that to INEOS, they're no longer in the direct line of fire. They don't really care about what we say about them in the first place. It still doesn't change the fact that we need them completely gone from this club. It never will change that fact. They are still here, unfortunately. I think they'll go eventually, and I think they will be bought out by INEOS, but it's going to take a while to get there. The only thing I can say about that is that now that they're not directly involved in the footballing operations, they've ceded control over some of the business operations as well. It means that there's going to be counterbalances to them and their interests within the football club. So I think that's positive. But yes, you are right. We still do need to champion this Glazers out cause until they're fully gone, because they're not gone yet. They're not gone. Stephanie's done there. Forgot Ashworth was at West Brom as well as Brighton and Newcastle. Obviously, like the Stripes. Can we get a kit change? Yeah, I mean maybe. I think as well he had a role at the FA for a long time as well. Steph says we're on 16 likes. Big ups to everyone. What have I got? Was that Lisa Martinez? We need to keep. Yeah, we need to keep Martinez. Absolutely. My only concern with Martinez is just getting the guy back and keeping him fit. Like, that's my one and only concern with Lisandro Martinez. But I don't think he's suddenly become an injury prone player, because I just think when we look at the injury he picked up, that's not really his fault. Kufal just fell on his knee. That can happen, but it's one you want to keep an eye out on, because a lot of the injuries players like Eric Bailly picked up were also due to their playing style as much as it was their overall fitness level. So I guess we want to see a fitter Lisandro Martinez, but I think he'll be kept anyway in this upcoming window. But I think it's good that no one's really keeping their positions guaranteed. There's not too much safety nets available at this club, and neither should there be. We've not been a good enough level to warrant that. There's not been enough of that throughout it, in my opinion, across this season. But look, some interesting moves are happening in the footballing world today. Mbappe, of course, leaving. Real Madrid's a big one. Luka Modric is probably leaving Real Madrid on a free. That's another big one. I mean, I don't think we're going for either player, but I don't know. What have I got down below? Rajat is saying Joel and Avram with the clown faces can be the team sponsor. I mean, look, these guys haven't gone anywhere, unfortunately. They're still going to be here. So it is about getting them out of the club as quickly as we possibly can. Let me just check. There was some other stories I wanted to touch on as well on United. There's just so much coming out at once. It's genuinely hard to keep a hold of, and it's genuinely hard to see it. Rajak goes, we need ruthlessness to be considered a top club. No, we do. Like, we shouldn't be. Players like Martial shouldn't be at this club still. We kept Phil Jones for 10 years at this football club. We've kept a lot of people at this club who should have been gone. We haven't been ruthless enough with it. We want to see that that ruthlessness come back, not just for executives, but for players, for staff, across the board. I think there are people within the club who will be safe from their jobs, because INEOS' whole business plan, their whole identity of what they want to bring to our club is best in class, and that's key. But if someone is deemed, yeah, look, this guy's probably the best in class, this woman is probably the best in class, this particular analytics team is considered the best that we can possibly get, then they'll be kept, of course. There won't be sacking people for the sheer point of just sacking them. That's not going to happen. That's likely not going to happen. But it is an interesting one to see what's going to happen, what's going to stay, what's going to go. And I guess the manager fits into all that as well. Now, everyone's been saying about Erik ten Hag as being the interim manager at the moment, that he's kind of fighting for his job to warrant being kept on. I think a decision is going to have to be made. And the reason I say why is because Erik ten Hag has about 18 months left in his contract. He's got until the end of this season and next season. Those are guaranteed unless we choose to sack the man. We have a call to make because we are going to have to quickly assess whether he is the right person to lead this club and this project into the future. What is going to happen with Erik ten Hag? Now, I think he's got a lot of... I think he's had credit in the bank for some of this season, and I think it might have saved him at times. I also think there is probably a dwindling supply of that credit because of the poor performances on and off the pitch throughout this season and the bad results we find ourselves having. There's definitely been an uptick in form in the last couple of weeks. That's undeniable. Is that going to be enough to keep his job? I'm not sure. But I think a decision will have to be made on the managers. I'm positive it's INEOS' plan to not sack him right now. I don't think he'll go before the end of the year, but we will have to make a big call on that at some point. And these are decisions that will happen with Dan Ashworth, with Omar Barada, with Wilcox, or whoever else comes in. These are big calls that are going to have to be made, and we have to get them right. We absolutely have to get them right. And I think when we look at the current managerial market, how many managers will we genuinely point at and said they might do a really good job here? I like Dan Ashworth. I think he's probably one of the best directors of football we can get, but I really hope that his creativity for that managerial position, should Ten Hag be sacked, can extend beyond Graham Potter, because I don't know about Graham Potter at this moment in time. I really don't. I mean, I might be wrong. He might come in as a head coach here and he might turn the place around, but I'm not too sure about that one personally. But I do think that they'll have a plan. They've probably got a much better plan than I do, and they probably know people working in the industry who will know more than any of us ever will do about who will be the best manager at this moment in time. So look, I will leave it in their safe hands. It's going to be their call to make, but I think Ten Hag will have a judgment day coming pretty soon, by the end of the season. If he finishes top four and wins the FA Cup, does he keep his job? Maybe. Does he thrive with a better structure around him? I think we have the evidence of that at Ajax. Do we have the evidence of him being the right man for United across the last year and a half? That's more debatable. That's more questionable. That's more unknown, I would say. So I guess we're going to find out in the next couple of months what their plan will be with the manager. One thing is for sure, though, is that Erik ten Hag will be under a lot of scrutiny. And if he isn't proven to be the best possible man for the job, then he might end up losing the job. And that's the ethos that is being instilled throughout this club. From top to bottom, that is the mission statement from INEOS. I've got Big T, the Big Bang Theory would be a good sponsor. Did I hear INEOS will bring in marathon runners and rugby players to help with those marginal gains? Look, I'll take anything, honestly. Honestly, I will take anything. Literally, if they have to get people in who have won the Great British Bake Off, I will take that. If that's going to get us back to the top, let's just do it. That's what the point that I'm at. Steph is saying, what does Stephanie say? Oh, Z slogan. I don't really understand it. Big T says if we get Champions League, I think Ten Hag stays. If we don't, I think he will be gone. Rajat says if we get fifth, do we get Champions League or not? I'm not 100% sure, and the reason I say that is because it depends on how I think Arsenal and Man City do in the Champions League this season. I'm not too sure if it'll have any involvement with like Aston Villa in the Conference League, or I think Brighton, or maybe still in the Europa League as well. So I'm not too sure how that's going to work, but it depends on their performance. I think at the moment it's only the top four, but if City and Arsenal do well, then they'll probably end up jumping ahead of the Italian Serie A for that extra spot. So it could be top 5, it could be top 4, but one thing is for sure, if you get top 4, you're guaranteed it. So I guess that has to be the aim. We can't rely upon anybody else for that matter. Greg is down there. I still think Ten Hag is the right man. Maguire has been brilliant lately. He's completed a lot more passes. Dallo has been improving loads lately, and that's down to Ten Hag. I think, yeah, I think I'll give him credit for that. I think Harry Maguire is a player who's doing better with the right goalkeeper behind him, profile wise. You know, we can have questions about Onana's actual goalkeeping ability, but I think profile wise, he is the right kind of goalkeeper in the sense that he will come off his line more, he'll come out to claim the ball more. He's a better passing goalkeeper. I think that suits Maguire better. I think not being beside Lindelof suits him better as well. And I think he's just playing better in the system at the moment. Could he still be moved on this summer? Probably. Should he still be moved on in the summer? Maybe. I think Dallo is probably one of the more improved players this season. And look, he's made me eat humble pie. And look, I would love to sit and say that I'm always right about everything. And sometimes I wish I was. But Dallo has really improved this season. And I think it was maybe about October, November time I was questioning his consistency. I was questioning a lot of his ability. But since then, he's become an absolutely integral part to this team, in possession, out of possession. He is one of the busiest players in this Manchester United side, and fair play to him, he's absolutely turned it around. Rizad says João Neves is apparently not committing long term to Benfica. I think that's probably a smart idea from João Neves' point of view, because Benfica is a double-edged sword for those young players. It's a great place to go and cement yourself alongside a top young team that's going to develop you as a footballer, give you Champions League football at a young age. That is invaluable. But at the same time, they also demand such high fees that it can be difficult for you to get a move. If you remember how much Enzo Fernandez had to push for his move to Chelsea, that will go on to it as well. But certainly, look, I'm not too sure what's going to happen there with João Neves. I really like him as a player. I think really, really top player, and I would love to see him at United. I just couldn't say that spending 100 million on him, which is what Benfica wants, is going to be a good idea. That's just my personal view on that one. Big T says, we don't qualify for Champions League but win the FA Cup. Would you keep Ten Hag? It wasn't enough to save Louis van Gaal from his job. I'm not too sure. I'm really not too sure. As good as the FA Cup is, and as good as it is to win a trophy, and make no mistake about it, I want to win trophies, it is just a day out at the end of the season. Champions League football does have a much more significant impact on what we're going to do in the next transfer window in the next season than what winning the FA Cup does. Winning the FA Cup just gets us into the Community Shield. Getting Champions League football might be the difference in spending another 80 or 90 million pounds in the summer. And that's the margins that you're talking about. And that's genuinely really important for us. So if we can do both, we got to do it. Jeremy is backing Ten Hag. He is scraping the barnacles off the hull. I mean, it's been a slow process. I think he's grinding things out, and I think the players are behind him. I think they keep going and keep going and keep going in these matches, and they don't stop and they don't quit. And I think that is a sign of a team playing for its manager. I think that there is a lot of positives in the last couple of weeks, but I also do think that we still haven't addressed some of the issues we've had all season long, which is a concern for me as well, though. Guys, drop a like as well. Hit vote on the poll as well. What do you guys think should happen with Old Trafford? Should it be a rebuild? Should it be a renovation? Let me know down below on that there one. Rajal goes, if we get Frimpong and Dallo would be crazy good options to have. It would be a good one. Rajal says we aren't AFC. Big T says, I'm not always right, but when I'm wrong, I'm wrong in the right way. Rajak goes, I would take top 4 or 5. And Steph says the difference between right and wrong is the problem. It's one of those ones. Steph says as well, sorry, United hopefully sneak top 4 like Liverpool usually do and win the FA Cup, but we can dream and hope. I agree with that. Let's be positive. Steph as well is saying we need to remove distractions once and for all. I would agree with that. I want to see us knuckle down, get to work. Let's get those marginal gains and let's see what we can improve upon. I think like target wise, next season you can see a big jump for this team. I would expect probably this season we're on 41 points. I think we'll probably end up with something like I think maybe we've got 14 matches left. If we win 8 or 9 of them, I guess, you would be looking at maybe like 27, maybe like mid 60s point wise, possibly up towards the 70s. I think next season you could see a jump up to maybe 75, 80 points if that's where we finish. I think we can improve that much in one summer. But I don't think we're going to be winning the treble next year. I think that this still is the start of a process and a project, and I guess we're going to have to accept that. And it's gonna be an interesting ride though. But I have a lot of positivity. I have a lot of faith at the moment that I maybe didn't have 12 months ago. I have a lot of faith that I didn't have 6 months ago. So let's see where this takes us. Let's see where this journey brings us. Big ups to Daniel. Good to see you, man. Greg saying everyone was harsh about Ten Hag's identity. He did what he could last season. Now everyone fits this season. Again, I'll use Delo Maguire's examples. The way they play now is the identity. I think yes and no, because I think he's got a lot more to get out of these players. I think stylistically we still have big problems in terms of committing to the press. The actual pressing structure can be very questionable at times. Some of the way we play out of the back, not really how I want to see us do it. I want to see more use of the fullbacks in the press. I think we should be committing them more. I want to see us be able to defend the wide areas and play higher up the pitch. These are things that probably should be done by now. And it is a concern that we are so reliant on a couple of players to make the system work. Without Martinez, without Casemiro, without Onana or like a Varane or Luke Shaw, the system does kind of fall apart, and that is a concern as well. What have I got here? Rosette, do we give Frimpong and Euro to complete the back line, keep Varane? I think we're going to get two centre backs. I do. I think Brandtwitt and Euro could be absolutely fantastic. And if you get a right back on top of that, that's really good. I think if you want to go more adjustable, more adaptable, do you maybe go Brandtwitt, who's played at left back at times this season for Everton, and you could bring in Kasunu from Bayer Leverkusen, who's played right centre back and right back. So those are players who'll cover different positions for you, and that could be a way to kill two birds with one stone, bring two centre backs in and give more cover for the wide areas. That's probably a positive thing. I think then looking midfield, you probably want a replacement for Casemiro. Even if Casemiro does stay on beyond this summer, I think you want to give someone in there who can do that work, and that man who have more of a free role beside him. And I think maybe you look for a general box-to-box presence in there as well, because I think Amrabat's going to go. I don't think he's going to be kept this summer. I think Ericsson could go as well. And then you look at the forward line. Olise seems pretty nailed on, but I would like to see another striker brought in. Rizat says we're going to win the fifth tuple, maybe. Big T, do you think naming rights will be sold for the new stadium? I'm not too sure, man. There's a lot of money could be made by doing that. You could even see INEOS taking the naming rights and just like informally not naming it either. I don't know. Daniel, hello to you, man. Good to see you. Big ups to everyone. Rajat would like Tapsoba. I like Tapsoba. There's questions maybe about his aerial ability at times, but I think he's a good player. And I think like he could do a lot worse than going to a Bayer Leverkusen team, but I feel like they're going to get picked apart and charge an absolute fortune for some of those players. What have I got as well? On terms of that poll, guys, 77% think rebuilding Old Trafford on the same land exactly where it is probably the best case scenario. 23% would like to see the current ground renovated. I think either way it's pretty similar, and I think that's good to see. I have an update coming in from Craig Hope. Manchester United are prepared to wait for Dan Ashworth to complete a period of gardening leave rather than pay compensation they feel excessive. They still hope to compromise. I still hope the compromise will be reached, but they could settle for a contractual compromise plus some gardening leave as well. Progress will be expected in early next week. So expect to see progress in Dan Ashworth next week. I think that's to be expected. Look, if it's 4 months, that's pretty okay, because that's what Newcastle got out of Brighton and Hove Albion. If Dan Ashworth's here for the summer, I think we can get a lot. He can do a lot of informal work and have a lot of the conversations with these new employers, and I think we can basically get the ball rolling on a lot of things, and then everything kind of gets swept up and tidied up mid-June, July. We're really getting into pre-season, and everything's rolling and going how it should be. Steph says we're on 16 likes and we've got 19 watching. Yeah, guys, drop some likes on there anyway. Would appreciate it. What have I got? Daniel, a bit off topic, but the Xabi Alonso have any need to leave Leverkusen. Hasn't lost a single game. They're probably going to win Bundesliga. I think, yeah. It's one of those. It's like, how would I even say it? It's like Ten Hag could have stayed at Ajax and done a really good job there, but at some point you're going to become a big fish in a small pond, regardless of that. Like Jurgen Klopp had a really good team at Borussia Dortmund, and eventually he had to leave to take on a new project. I think he will go. Whether it's this summer or not, I'm not too sure. I think Liverpool could be a really good job for him. I think Real Madrid would be interested as well at some point, but it might be better to go to Liverpool where he might get more time to prove himself at the top level. I don't know. Um, it's an interesting thought though, because I think Alonso's been a very good manager for them. They play really good football. Chrissy's down there. Old Trafford is better than you. Trafford 2 sentimental renovation is ideal. Big T says, could we sell the name and rights and still keep Old Trafford? For example, Alliance Old Trafford or the Adidas Old Trafford. I mean, maybe. I mean, it's one of those. It's like the Camp Nou is like called the Spotify Camp Nou, but it doesn't get referred to it as the Spotify Stadium at all. Well, unless you're a Real Madrid supporter, maybe. But I don't know. Rizzo's Leverkusen don't need to sell. They didn't sell Havertz. I think they will sell players, but I'm not too sure. Like they're probably in a good financial situation regardless. Um, Rosat says Luke and Wambasaka need to go. I'm a big fan of Luke Shaw, and I have been for a very, very, very long time. And I think he is a top level fullback, and I think he's probably the perfect guy for us when he's fit. And I think that's the key there, guys. It's when he's fit that's the problem, and he hasn't been fit, or he hasn't been available for long enough this season, and that's a concern for me. I like Rafa Varane. I think he's a top box defender and a good leader on the pitch for us, but it's when he's available. I think availability is one of the most important attributes a player can have. One of the most important things you can do is be fit and ready for every match. I think that's why Donny van de Beek never made it at Man United, because he was never available in that sense. And you've bigger players, better players over the years have lost out because of their fitness issues. Anthony Martial could have been one of the best players in the world going by his potential as a 19, 20-year-old. He was the European golden boy. Make no mistake about it. And injuries and poor coaching ruined him. So it's just frustrating. Rizak goes, sorry. Ronnie says, do you think you'll bring in a top striker? Would love to see Victor Osimhen. I don't think we're going to go big, because I think we have nailed our colours on the mast of Rasmus Højlund, and I think he is going to be the long-term guy. It's about getting players to surround him. Look, I was doing some research earlier on who could be a decent option. The one that really kind of came up to me was Terem Moffi. And Terem Moffi is a striker currently playing for Nice. I think he's 25 years old. He's got about 8 or 9 goals in Ligue 1 this season. 25 years old. Was talk of him potentially being the second striker in last summer's window. Maybe we go back in for him with the Nice links. And he would probably come in at that age. He would work alongside Højlund, offer different attributes and different qualities, be more experienced, and maybe he's willing to maybe alternate that striking role, maybe be more of a squad player at Man United. I mean, I'm sure that would still be really, really good for Moffi as well, but that's one potential option we could go for. We could go anywhere, really, but I think we want a different profile. Someone with more experience has to be the objective for me. Let me see. Daniel, remember Sports Direct Arena? Yeah, I mean, I do. It Rajat goes, Leverkusen will rinse you. Yeah, they will, man. It says, what are the Trafford Centre of Excellence or the ultimate megastore location? Maybe. I mean, maybe. We'll probably find ourselves in like a legal battle with the actual Trafford Centre as well. Rajat says Osimhen is overrated. I seen there's talk about Osimhen going to PSG as the Mbappe replacement. So I don't know. Big T's voting for the Philosophy Arena. I like that one. Philosopher's Stone Roses. That's a good one. I'll give you that one, Steph. That is a good one. Daniel says we're gonna bring down the wage and there's so much debt. Yeah, look, the wage will be looked at definitely. Players like Bruno Fernandes, Casemiro, Rafa Varane are on massive money, and a lot of them are 29, 30, 31, 32. You can probably add Ericsson into that list. Harry Maguire's up there as well in terms of the age profile. Lindelof as well. Luke Shaw's maybe starting to get towards that kind of age. Are these people going to be here in 5 years to lead this team forward? Probably not. So the decisions will be made in that sense. Arxabug says we need to buy a young striker. We don't need a player over the age of 30. Those just don't work out. No, I would agree. I think we need to sign younger players. I think we need different profiles. We don't want to sign just like teenagers or really young players. I think Chelsea kind of struggle from a lack of leadership in that team as well at times. They have a very, very young team. So I think you want to have a nice mix, a nice blend if possible. It won't be a one-season job. Make no mistake about it. We're not going to sell 20 players in the summer and bring in 20 new players. That's not going to happen. I think 5 or 6 come in. I think 8 or 9 or 10 go out. And I think you have a couple of academy promotions, and that's what I think you look at. I think that's pretty much top of the level. Who goes, who stays will be interesting. You could see some big players moves on if big bids come in for them. It's going to be an interesting ride. It really, really is. Guys, drop a like on the video if you haven't already, and make sure to hit the sub button if you guys want to join in with the amazing community we have here on the channel. Really do appreciate all you guys. Big T says, I got a feeling players are going to be wanting to come to us again. We might have a join us waiting list. Everjako's Mehdi Taremi going to Inter. Yeah, look, that's frustration, because I think they've got Taremi on a free, and last season they got Marcus Thuram on a free, both of which would be good options for us. Daniel goes bring in Balogun. I think is Balogun not still a registered Arsenal player? I don't know. Greg says Højlund got everything for the modern striker, and he's starting to score goals now. Yes, he's still young, but he just needs the right management. I think, yeah, he needs to have the right management. I think he needs to have somebody who can come in alongside him at times. He doesn't need to play 90 minutes every single match at 21. You know, he's only 21 and about 10 days, so he is still a very, very young player. So a lot of time for him to grow and develop. And I'm very excited about his prospects because he's got everything you could want in a striker. He's like 6'4". He's rapid. He can use both feet. He can dribble. He can pass. He can probably score headers. I think he needs to work on that personally, but he's got everything you would want. There's a lot of rawness in his game, and he still is a diamond in the rough, but man, what a diamond he is. Big T, will INEOS get the players playing Quidditch for minimal gains? Maybe that's what we will be doing. I mean, it looks like we're going running with some Kenyan marathon runners and playing rugby with the All Blacks. So who knows what is going to be possible. Liman says if Højlund keeps scoring, Florentino will go face to face with Ratcliffe for him. Nah, it's not going to happen. Rajat says bring David or Vlahovic. Nah, no chance. I mean, I don't mind Vlahovic, but I think he needs the right team around him. Jonathan David, I think he's okay. AT says, I think Højlund is our player for as long as we want him. He seems to love us. Yeah, he seems very happy here. And I think this is an exciting place to be. And I think if you're a young player in this team, I think then it's a very exciting time to be here. If you're Casemiro or Varane or Bruno or Maguire, Lindelof, players like that, maybe a team that's going to be competing for the big honours in a year or two isn't as exciting because you don't want to wait around and wait for places to get good again. Let me see. Steph says, never understand why football clubs can't review player performance and salaries. Normal people. I suppose it's a huge money involved. It is, Steph, it is. It's one of those, it's like the money involved is absolutely massive, but as well as that, they've got guaranteed contracts for so long as well. Hey guys, drop a like on the video, hit the sub button as well if you can. Big ups to Bart for joining in. Thanks, Bart. Razak goes, how many good strikers to Inter need? Lautaro Martinez as well, so much. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, they got a lot of strikers. I mean, they play like they play with the front two, so like they're always going to need more. But yeah, I mean, I like them, and they're a really interesting team to watch this year. Anyway, Big T, that will change once we got the Wembley of the North. Madrid players will dream of joining us. Look, I mean, this team, look, I mean this literally, and look, as bad as we've been for 10 years, this Manchester United side still has a lot of pull to it. And even if you are a player who's been at Real Madrid or not for a long time, they don't seem to look at this place as a step down. Be it Casemiro, be it Varane, they tend to look at it as a sideways step, which is kind of shows where we're viewed in terms of the footballing hierarchy and the footballing pyramid. So the sooner we're up there actually competing with Real Madrid for stuff, I feel a lot better for it. But we want to be campaigning for Madrid for the Jude Bellingham type signings. We don't want to be buying players here being moved on from their team. Hopefully, we don't see us going in for Cruz or Modric or anybody like that in the summer. What have I got here as well? Big ups. Daniel says next person to speak is a 10-second timeout. Don't do that there, Daniel, man. Big T says Daniel drinks too much caffeine. Maybe Daniel, man, can't be removing stuff. Did you delete something from Luman? He just said auntie. That's okay. That's okay. Let me see if there's anything else I want to bring you guys before we wrap up the show. But look, guys, please drop a like on the video, hit the sub button as well. Helps the channel out a lot, and really, really, really do appreciate it and all the support. Let me have a quick check to see. I think there was something I was looking to have a look at. Chris Wars saw something pop up like literally a couple of minutes ago. Victor Osimhen featured prominently on PSG's list to replace Kylian Mbappe. PSG are preparing for the exit of Mbappe since the summer and have stepped up discussions in January, ready for June. 25-year-old Napoli striker, strong contender, and would like to join. That's just for anyone who thought we should be buying Victor Osimhen. Luis Campos is currently not planning to leave PSG, so I guess we can ignore him in any of our director of football, head of recruitment sort of stuff as well. But yeah, actually, do what I did want to bring? It was some of the quotes from Jose Mourinho. I wanted to go through Jose's quotes because some of them were really, really interesting earlier. Let me see if I can quickly pull these up. I knew there was something else I wanted to talk about. We'll go on to Jose Mourinho here. Bart says, when am I on the United agenda? Isn't Boniface better than Osimhen? It depends on what you want. Bart, I think I'll be on agenda probably next week. I normally meant to be on a Wednesday, but I couldn't do it this week, obviously, with Valentine's Day and stuff. So it's one of those ones. I think we had Mourinho talking about a lot of things on there. He says, I'm waiting as soon as possible for United to become the club that I once fell in love with. He seems to really highly rate INEOS anyway. He's still begging up himself. He had an interesting quote on Scott McTominay. He said, when I looked at Scott McTominay, Pogba on the bench, I play Scott McTominay in the Champions League in Seville. He's my boy. And when I go from club to club, I find boys that will always be my boys, will always be my players. Steph says, drop like. Alcan says, great content, keep it up. Thank you very much, man. Look, there's a lot of content coming up. I've got some exciting videos that I'm hopefully going to be dropping at the weekend, looking at Michael Olise, Jared Brantwood, and Lenny Euro. Kind of recorded 3 videos at once, and then I realized I'm going to have to edit all these at once as well now. But there might be like a triple upload, maybe. Maybe we'll try to get one up Saturday, one up Sunday, one up Monday. We can do that. That could be quite fun. Just need to make some thumbnails for one of them. And let me check. I think we're playing Luton Town this weekend as well, so there will be a watch along for that. What time are we playing? Sunday at 4:30. So of course we will have the standard watch along as well for that one. Looking forward to it. Big T says Mourinho said he was offered the job. Bart says, okay, I'll be ready to troll and crack bad jokes. No, exactly, man. Gotta love it. I mean, those are top guys, and I really do enjoy being on the agenda as well. Jose Mourinho on Sir Jim Ratcliffe. This is one of the quotes I wanted to bring you guys. It's exciting. I know him well. I have a good feeling. He is a sportsman, which is important. He comes with different experiences, smaller football clubs, different sports. I have the feeling that things will go in the right direction. He says that he doesn't have unfinished business at Old Trafford. He says the players I enjoyed most were the players that give me everything. When I was a young kid, the kid becomes your kid for life. I look to Varane at the end of his career. He's my kid. He's my player. I think an interesting one they did say in terms of what we want to do in this transfer window. He says, before you buy the new furniture, you have to clean the house. And I've always been more about cleaning the house than buying the new furniture. We never really cleaned the house the way we wanted to at Manchester United, and hopefully Sir Jim can clean the house this summer. So that's what we've got to do. Clean the house before you put the furniture in. That's going to be the modus operandi of this summer. That's going to be the plan going into it. I'm going to run through the comments because some of these guys are important. Sorry, some of the comments look important. What have we got? Daniel, up at Luton Town. Oh, Benny the GOAT. Oh, Benny's a good player. He really is. What have I got? Bart is down there. Mourinho would be mint for England. He'd be a lot better than He'll be a lot better than Gareth Southgate for sure. Steph says we're stuck on 16 likes with 26 watching. Yeah, guys, drop a like on the video. If not for me, do it for Steph. And the rest of the mod team as well. Really do appreciate all those guys. Rajat said Osman is overrated. Napoli can keep. Yeah, look, thing is, like the thing is with Luton Town is that they'll cause us a lot of problems at the weekend. They're a physical team. They're a strong team. They got a lot of good players in there. For a team that's just come up, Ross Barkley looking really good. Daniel, Vince McMahon has not signed to Manchester United. That's a fairly bad comment there, man, for a mod to be making. But look, guys, just in relation to Victor Osimhen, I mean, yeah, look, Osimhen is a really good player. He's a good striker, our top goal scorer, but he's not going to be a United player. He can maybe go to PSG. He feels like a PSG type player, but who knows what's going to happen there. Bart says Deschamps plays defensive football. Mourinho does that, but as a pragmatist, is that hard? Yeah, look, Jose Mourinho does play pragmatic football. Make no mistake about it. But the thing is with Jose, he's not afraid. If he's got a good attacking lineup, he will go for matches as well. He usually builds around his strengths, and I think he would look and have a look at that England team. I got Jude Bellingham here. I've got Harry Kane here. Let's go for goals. Let's go and be attacking. I've got Foden. I've got Saka. I have a solid back line. I have a really good midfield. He would probably go for it, and I think he'd have a much better chance of winning something than Southgate. Look, guys, that is the show pretty much done. Daniel, I'm not signing Mbappe. Big T says, is it okay to buy shirts and support the revolution? I don't know. Maybe we can ask United Agenda about that one. And Steph says, Macaulay to score the winner against Luton. Maybe. Daniel, how much his wages would be? Mbappe? Nah. I just can't see it happening. I just don't think it's a good idea, and it could probably bankrupt this football club. Look, guys, I think we've done just over an hour here, so thanks so much for tuning in, and I will catch everyone in the next one. Really do appreciate it. Really good show, guys, and I'll catch everyone tomorrow.